In the issues that we've discussed, we've been informed about issues of trade, issues of foreign affairs, and my interest as the Minister of Internal Affairs will basically be concerned with improving or ensuring that every one of us is not only safe here, but we'll be able to conduct our affairs in a manner that improves the relationship between the two countries. We realize that both countries have been experiencing quite some challenges, and some of them notably in the security sector, where our country, Kenya, has been dealing with issues of Al-Shabaab, and our counterparts in Nigeria have been dealing with issues of Boko Haram. And these issues have really impacted the security situation in the two countries, and by extension affected trade and ultimately the economy. We feel that we need to collaborate and look at ways of ensuring that the issues are dealt with. And as indicated by my fellow ministers, we realize Kenya has a very good academy, which we have the Kenya Military Academy, where we can, through collaboration, share experiences. We can train the personnel from the two countries and ensure that the two issues are dealt with. Apart from that, we can also deal with the issues of security, and specifically Al-Shabaab is related to labor issues or unemployment issues. We need to look at instances of improving issues of employment. We need to ensure that the youths are not radicalized. We need to provide employment opportunities to them. And if we go with what my counterpart in the trade sector had said, we'll be able to realize more employment opportunities for the citizens of the two countries, and especially the youth, and will be, by extension, be able to deal with the fundamentalism, and that way we'll be able to deal with the issues of Boko Haram and Al-Shabaab in the two sectors. Secondly, we'll also want to address issues of human trafficking and also drug trafficking. We realize that Nigeria, most of the issues dealing with the two vices in one way or another touches on the two countries. Nigeria has been accused, or our counterparts from Nigeria, their citizens have been accused of being drug traffickers, being human traffickers. And our airport, one of our leading airports, has been seen as the exit point, or the transit point for the drugs. We need to find ways of ensuring that we seal the loopholes, we collaborate together and ensure that the issues, we share experiences, we have surveillance to ensure that the issues of drugs and human trafficking is dealt with. That way, one way or another, I believe we can be able to have or ensure that the two countries work better and share experiences in more ways and ensure that there's security for all of us. Thank you very much, and we hope we'll be able to work together and collaborate and ensure that we are safe, not only in Kenya and Nigeria, but also. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For the office from Nigerian delegation, the Minister for Internal Affairs, please welcome.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I want to say that we have talked about trade, and we all understand that trade can only survive in a peaceful environment. The issue of security has really affected these both countries, and as my counterpart has been talking about it, we also have the issue of Boko Haram, which has been a problem. We need to work out on this issue of security cooperatively. We find that the issue of insecurity has now gone over border, and for us, like Nigeria, we border the Niger, Chad, and Cameroon. The regions that are occupied by the Boko Haram, Yobe, Bono, and Adamawa, most of them, when we pursue them, they run across to these countries, and they have also gone on to attack the neighboring countries. So we have cooperated in the issue of security so that we try to finish Al-Shabaab and create a good environment for trade between us and Kenya. So I want to say that you're all welcomed to trade with us. Al-Shabaab or Boko Haram should not be a threat to us. We need to work out this issue for us to encourage economic growth and development for both countries. We are working out on creating job opportunities for young people. We realize that this will put more youth in employment and help dry up Boko Haram recruitment base, because we realize that many youth who are unemployed are joining Boko Haram. We are working on the employment so that we make sure that these youth are not idle. And we're also working out on protecting and strengthening human security. The Nigerian military has too often taken civilian casualty too. Is it into account by killing citizens in the north? The population's frustration against the military increases. We are also introducing a rollout counter-violence extremist program to find a way that the Boko Haram has no way to survive again in our country. We are trying to improve human rights record for security forces and also dry up terrorism funding streams. The Boko Haram and like the Al-Shabaab, we come to discover that they are using modern weapons. And we are all wondering where are they getting these weapons. Then we are trying to get out who are the funders and to try our best to dry up all their sources of funding. Then we also trying to create a regional threat reporting platform so that we can access information, because we find that all these terrorist groups are hiding from the civilians. And for us to get the report from the civilians, to get information where these people are hiding, because after the attack, they go back in the civilian and you cannot tell who is the Boko Haram. Like in Kenya, the way my counterpart said, you cannot tell who is the Al-Shabaab. So we are trying to create a regional threat reporting platform so that we partner with the international community to develop a regional threat reporting platform where with the citizen can provide vital tip-off information. Then we are also trying to sustain sense of regional collaboration. Crossing borders, sometimes they are feeling so secure when they cross over the other border because they go there to hide. And we are coordinating with our neighbors, as I said earlier, to come up with a strategic way of trying to stop them from crossing over the border. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Minister, in the other country, an opportunity to respond to those issues as raised so that we move forward in a well and organized way. In this case, at this juncture, let me invite the Minister for Energy from Kenya. There's a lot that you can learn from Nigeria because it has traded long enough, and as second largest producer of oil, I think Kenya has a lot to learn. I believe that's just one aspect in what that we can discuss in terms of energy. So the Minister for Energy, please welcome.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me this opportunity. I'll be able just to raise I'll be discussing on two very important issues, the oil and gas, and secondly, the geothermal, where we are interested in having Nigeria play a very important role here in Kenya. You are all aware that Nigeria is the leading oil producer in Africa and the fifth largest exporter of liquefied natural gas. As Kenya, we see a lot of potential in that because it's an area where we can really do a lot of trading And in particular, in as far as Kenya is concerned, we would want to buy both gas and oil from Nigeria. But what we might want to request from Nigeria is that they allow us to be buying oil and gas at very discounted prices. And in this case, as Kenya, we are requesting that whenever we are buying oil from Nigeria, that we be buying it at discounted price of the average. For the average of the last 3 months of the international oil price, that we have it at discounted price, discounted at 20%. So that is what we are requesting the government of Nigeria to really consider, because we are ready to do business, and if we are given at discounted prices. One, we also recognize the fact that Nigeria has been in oil exploration for quite a long time. We all know very well, by 1971, Nigeria was part of OPEC. And through the expertise Nigeria has in oil exploration, we can be able to leverage and take advantage of that particular expertise. We are aware that we recently discovered oil, so we can have experts from Nigeria who are very good in oil exploration and oil exploitation coming to support us as Kenya. That's one area probably we might need to agree on how you can be able to send us some of the experts. And at this juncture, we are thinking we can get experts in the range of at least maybe 200 coming to Kenya to support us both in oil exploration. That will be good enough. Again, Kenya has a very big potential for geothermal. We have a potential of about 7,000 megawatts of potential, but so far we've only an installed capacity of 200 megawatts. We have a lot of potential. Recognizing that Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa, and one of the economy that has produced the richest people in Africa, we see a lot of potential of getting some of those people who have big money coming to invest in Kenya. What we are requesting the government of Nigeria is to facilitate the Nigerian investors to come and invest in Kenya. What we've done as Kenya, we have the right regulatory framework for public-private partnership. We have already a law that have government and private sector can come together and collaborate in area of energy. And for that case, we are foreseeing a lot of potential for Nigerians, the rich Nigerians, to come and invest, the likes of Dangote to come and invest in Kenya. And on our part as Kenya, we want to assure you that we shall be able to provide you the necessary incentives and the support once these investors come on board. Those are the only two key issues in the area of energy that as Kenya, we may wish to put across to the Honorable Minister, Helen, from Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Now, the Nigerian counterpart.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mashaya. I'm going to respond to some of the areas that the Kenyan Energy Minister has touched on, which are oil and geothermal energy. Now, for oil and gas, of course, Nigeria needs the market, and we will be very, very grateful if Kenya would open the doors for our products. But now 20% is a bit on the higher side because we have taken into account all the costs involved in bringing the oil to Kenya. So as the Nigerian government, we'll be willing to offer an 8% discount on the prevailing prices. And I'm sure that's going to go a long way in lowering the oil and gas prices. Then we can provide experts to come and train the Kenyans on oil and gas technology and skills. But in exchange, we are going to ask the Kenyan government to provide us with experts who can train us on renewable energy. Because as we all know, electricity is scarce in Nigeria. We have a high population, but we only generate 4,000 megawatts annually. So this expertise will go a long way in resolving our electricity crisis. Okay, that's it for me.
Okay, the Minister for Energy, maybe you can respond to those offers.
Okay, thank you. I want to take this opportunity to thank Nigeria for accepting, although not given us what we expected, but I believe is good enough. 8% discount is still good enough, particularly taking into consideration the current prevailing oil prices. They have been quite low. So to us as Kenya, that would be acceptable. In respect to experts in the area of renewable energy, it's indeed correct that Kenya has really invested and has the requisite skills and personnel who have really trained in renewable energy matters. And in that regard, as Kenya, we have no problem. We are willing to support you in that particular area. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Before the Minister for Nigeria responds, I'd like to request that we adjourn suspend the debate briefly in order to allow for our visitor to give the remarks, because he feels that maybe he may not be with us throughout the session. Thank you so much and welcome our visitor. Okay, thank you. I'm told that we need to continue. Then, therefore, let the Minister for Nigeria respond.
In response to your request for our government to invest in the geothermal energy sector in Kenya, we are very much willing to do that. But then we would like for the Kenyan government rather to reduce the taxes and provide more incentives, as you had mentioned, like maybe more oil blocks.
Thank you very much. Without belittling that point, because our technical teams are going to sit down and look at those issues that have been raised, I want to go to the next ministry, that is the Ministry of Environment, which is closely related to the Ministry of Energy. In terms, there's a lot that they share a lot. And so I'm going to welcome the Minister for Kenya Environment to give her remarks. Welcome, Ms. Nairaba.
Good morning, and thank you very much. As you know, that the environment is an essential part of the living of the population, and we need to control our activities in order to preserve the global environment. Kenya is committed in working with Nigeria to promote environmental conservation and dealing with the effect of global warming. Kenya would like to highlight some of the areas they love to work with Nigeria in terms of conserving the environment. The first point is the emission trading. Under Article 17 of the Kyoto Protocol, Kenya, as you know, is not utilizing all of its emission permits and will love to sell to Nigeria the excess of the emission permits if Nigeria is willing to buy. As you know, the emission in Nigeria compared to Kenya is a bit on the higher side. Second one, we would like to engage Nigeria in reducing emission from deforestation and forest degradation. That is the REDS Plus. Kenya would love to have an exchange program with Nigeria to preserve the forest and grow trees, and in the process, increase the carbon. The third point is about the conservation of the wildlife. As you know, the wildlife in Kenya, as in Nigeria, is being extinct, especially the rhinos and the lions. We like to engage in a partnership to preserve the wildlife in the environment. And lastly, as Nigeria agrees to help us in the exploration of the oil in the northern region, we love them to give us or help us with a mechanism to preserve the environment in the process of exploring the resource. Thank you.
Thank you very much. An opportunity for the Nigerian counterpart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As my colleague mentioned, the environment is a very important aspect in terms of day-to-day business. It is sorry. Environmental protection, it's a good indicator of health of any government, and it's a duty of every government beyond mere political pronouncement to protect the environment. Therefore, the issue mentioned by my colleague, my counterpart from Kenya, as Nigerians, we are ready to do emission trading, since we have got a lot of multinational companies exploring, because Nigeria economy is supported by oil exploration. Almost 70% of the economy is supported by oil exploration. So we are, and we will negotiate with our technical team. That one we are ready, as long as the rates are okay and fair. On the issue of the emission on afforestation of gas and afforestation, it is true that we need to plant more trees, but that one is something that we need to agree. We need to set a target of maybe the number of plants we are planting every year. We need to set a target so that we can improve on forestation, so that we can also attract rainfall and those kind of things. On the conservation of the wildlife, it's true international poaching has been a target, particularly for Kenya and also Nigeria, to those rare species like rhinos, which normally go trading in the international market. And this one now is, we need to make an effort to protect those rare species. We need to come up with strategies as an African nations, because in these international poachers come here and take it across board. They take it to the international market to make more money. So we need to protect them. On the issue of, what was the fourth one? On oil exploration, we have a history in terms of oil exploration as a country, that multinational companies took advantage of our naive when we started this oil exploration. But we want to help our brothers from Kenya, that we know what we have gone through before. We want to make sure that we want to give you technological and also expertise in terms of training, and also how to reduce emissions when you are exploring, so that, because sometimes these multinational companies, they don't take care of the environment. They only explore and leave the problems with the local communities. So we know how to deal with those things. We want to help you, but in Africa we need to be, we have to go through this trading between African countries. If you check how the trades are done between like Europe, it's almost 70%. The European Union, the member states are doing bilateral trades. It's at 70%. Asia, it's almost at 40%, but in Africa, it's less than even 10%. So we want to help you how to reduce also polluting the environment when you're exploring, since the recent exploration, the discovery of oil in the northern Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Minister for Environment, Nigeria. You have made us some offers, and I would like to request the Minister for Environment in Kenya to make some counter offers. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank the Nigerian team for welcoming our recommendation. We really appreciate. We would love to propose that we do an indigenous tree exchange. You bring your indigenous for seedlings from your forest, and we try and see how they can do it in our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Of course, the details we follow on how we are going to deal with those areas that we've highlighted. Education is very important to both of our countries. Nigeria registers a very high education mass. We'd like to know how can we cooperate on these areas. In this, I'm going to invite the Minister for Education, Kenya, to make his proposals.
Thank you, Secretary Macharia Michael. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Nigerian panel for coming and engaging with us again. You remember we met in August 4th to discuss about SDGs, post-SDGs, and we made proposals that were submitted, and they were well received. Thus, for this session, we'll be ironing out 3 issues. First and foremost will be, of course, the exchange programs that we highlighted on the other session. We talked about exchanging of experts and researchers. We appreciate the enormous capacity of Nigeria with scholarship, and you are ready to welcome them also in terms of scholarships for our students, and that has also gone well. We'd also like to review the curriculum and incorporate quite a number of progressive issues as we are changing from the 844 and transiting to another system. The Nigerian counterparts, indeed, we would require much help on this. We also acknowledge that you did this quite some years back. In particular will be arts, which has come quite a number of times out here. And on the arts issue, the University of Lagos, I believe you said, was ready to share with us a curriculum. We are accepting that, and we will still review and look at it further. Finally, is to look at the transition rates between our schools. Kenya failed to meet one of our midterm goals, that is 70% from primary to secondary and secondary to university. Instead, we met 50%. Highlighted in your brief, we saw that Nigeria was able to meet this target by 90%. We will explore the places where our weaknesses and your strengths and share notes on that. Thank you very much, Secretary Macharia.
Thank you very much, the Minister. May I now invite the Minister for Education from Nigeria. Welcome, Madam.
Thank you very much. Education has been recognized as a basic human right since the 1948 adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.